Hey, how's it going everyone? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we're looking at another Gundam figure, one that is not widely popular, but one of my absolute favorites. It is one of my favorite designs just because it's got a little bit more of some rounded shapes to it, and it's not quite as boxy in most places, and it's just kind of unique because it is from the Formula 91, the F91 animated film. Has this kind of logo thing going on, and it was supposed to be a series, a regular anime series. I think it was 50 episodes planned, but then it got canned and they turned it into a short film. Well, not a short film, it's 2 hours long, but they scrapped a whole bunch of stuff, so it turned out to not be the best story ever, but I really like the design despite that. So I'm happy to show this figure to you, and for the price you can't really get a better figure. Alright, so he stands. He's a little bit on the small side. He's a little bit older as well, so he's not quite as advanced as some of the newer ones. To the highest point, which is probably back here, he's about 5¼ inches tall. So he's not tiny, but he's definitely not big. And what was I saying? I was saying something, I can't think of it off. Oh, the articulation's not quite as advanced. We'll get to that in a second. For now, though, let's look at the accessories. The most cool one, the coolest one, is that you have this head here, which is relatively standard Gundam style head, but you also have this one with the open faceplate. It almost has like a Transformers type vibe, so that's pretty cool. It's always nice to have interchangeable heads. Personally, I like the standard looking Gundam one because I'm pretty sure that's what it had almost throughout the entire film, but still, it's a really cool head sculpt either way. I love that design, so that's really nice to have the alternate head. He has two beam sabers or beam swords, which are green, which I really like because a lot of the time we just get the pink, and the green ones look really cool. The only bad thing about these is that there's no place to peg these into the figure, unless I just haven't found the spot yet. But I don't think there are, which is kind of disappointing. But he didn't have them like that in the show, so it's okay. He also has a beam shield, or an energy shield, or whatever these are called, I'm not sure, but it's also green, and it looks really nice. And this piece here, it doesn't come assembled, you have to peg this piece in, and it's a big pain in the butt, but once you get it in, it's okay. This piece here is on a ball hinge, so you can articulate it around there pretty well, and how that works is this piece here just replaces this piece here. So let's see if I can get that out to show you. This one snaps in really tight, so it's probably not the best design since it's such a hard thing to remove, but you can do it. So that pops out, and that's just basically the center part of the shield. So you can replace it with this one, line it up properly. I have it upside down right now, and then you can just put that on there, and it's a really cool shield. It's really nicely done. The only problem with the shield is it doesn't have that much of a extension right there, so it kind of bumps into the shoulder pads if, and only if, like a math lesson, doing proofs, if you put these pieces on, that's the wrong one. So these pop in up into those holes right there under the shoulder pad, and those snap in there. And these, I'm pretty sure he only used these for the space flight. I'm not sure, I don't remember, it's been a little while since I watched it, but those look awesome. They look really cool. And again, the only problem with those is that the shield bumps them sometimes, so that's up to you if it's a problem or not. I personally really like those. I think that's a really cool looking feature. And to go with these pieces, you can pop off these calf pieces on the backs of his legs, of course. These are also pretty tricky to get off, so I don't know if that's a problem per se or just something to note, but you want to pop those off. Come on. It's not easy to get a grip on them, but once you get them off, if you can, it's almost there. We're almost there. Come on, there we go. These pieces pop in, and they look super cool. Super cool. I love having those pieces in with the little thrusters in there. They look nice. So we're going to leave those in. We're going to do them on both sides so you can see this guy in all of his glory. If I can get this other one out. You might want to keep a knife on hand, but do be careful you don't scratch the figure or shish kebab yourself, because that would be not good. Maybe a small screwdriver is a better option if you are not so inclined to use a knife. But there you have it. There are the calf pieces that look really nice with the shoulder pieces. We'll get to these things in a second since they're not technically an accessory. He also has this BFG, that's what I call it, and it is nicely detailed. It has some paint and some sculpt, and the handle is articulated so that you can get it in some nice poses if you want to put it in his hand. If you didn't see it like this in my import video, you can put it in his hand and put it over his shoulder very easily due to the articulated handle. So that's cool. Another cool feature about this is this piece, which pops in like this. Put it over the top and peg it in. So that piece goes on there, and this piece replaces that piece. And then you can just peg it onto his hip, and he keeps it on his back like that. So that's pretty snazzy, if you ask me. We also have another gun, which I really like because most of the robot Damashii or Robot Spirits figures don't have the painted weapons. They're mostly all gray plastic. This one is painted, sculpted really well. He holds it really well, and it has this secondary grip, this foregrip that he can hold with his secondary hand, his left hand. So it's a really nice piece, nice accessory. It looks great with the figure. So that's cool. That's it for the accessories. We do have interchangeable hands. As you can see, he's got a fist hand on either side there. And we have a total of 10 hands with this guy. He's got two trigger finger hands that are this size. He's got two sets of trigger hands because of the different guns. And you can see he's got the little extra detail in the wrist, slightly rounder fingers than normal Gundams do. So that's another reason I like him. It's just lots of little details that really stand out. There's the other set of trigger finger hands. His beam saber hands. And they do hold the beam sabers pretty well. And of course we have some jazz hands, because all Gundams have jazz hands. And these are sculpted really well. So, as you can see, he's got at least as much as any standard Gundam figure, Gundam Robot Spirits figure. So he's got lots of good stuff, and he's got some unique sculpting going on. So that's always a bonus. And then lastly, as far as unique features go, he has these thruster pack thingies on his back, which are on this hinge system. It's not really a hinge. What is that called? Like a rail, I guess. So you can open his arms up a little bit, bring these guys all the way around, and they function as guns from the front, and I guess they're thrusters in the back. I don't know for sure. I don't really remember. It's been a little while since I saw the show. So they both do that. They each have a rail on that goes around the rib cage. It doesn't look too bad. If you didn't know it was part of the articulation, you would just think it was designed. So that's cool. And then it also has the ball hinge and a hinge itself. I'm sorry, it's just the ball hinge. I remember thinking that when I saw it too, but it does allow for a good range of motion. So these can move all around, and the cool thing about these is they extend when they're guns. They have the extension there, and a handle comes out. So they actually do look like guns, and he can grab a hold of them. And you can pop them off if you want to, but you don't really need to. So he has those too, which is really cool. So lots of nice little features added into this guy that most of the Gundams don't have, because he's a prototype. At least as far as the story goes, he's a prototype. Get back in there. Alright. This cool piece on his back, really nicely detailed. Just tons of great work on him. I love the chest piece. It looks awesome all the way around. And the paintwork is pretty darn solid too, especially for the lettering. Everything looks good. Now let's talk articulation. The head is pretty much standard. The neck piece down there that looks kind of like a hexagon or octagon, can't really see all the way around, but that is articulated. It's on at least a ball peg. It might be a ball hinge. I haven't popped it off to check. The head itself we can pop off. Oh, I also want to point out, these are softer. Since you have to interchange the heads, these are less fragile, they're less likely to break, so that's nice thinking on Bandai's part. Yeah, okay, so the head is just a standard ball peg. So that's still pretty good range of motion though, and even though he has this extra kind of like neck plate for the helmet, he has pretty good range of motion for the head, so I'm pretty happy about that. Let's pop that back on. Really love the way this guy looks. He's got the standard ball peg for the shoulder. I don't believe that has any butterfly to it. I haven't been able to loosen it up. If it is in there, it's really stuck, but I don't think it is. So standard ball peg for the shoulder where it connects to the body. Then the arm itself has the hinge there. So full range of motion for the shoulder. Of course, it rotates. The shoulder pad is on its own hinge. can see that little gray part that goes up and grabs it. Hey, get out of here, cat. Bad cat. That's okay, he makes a better background actually. So the shoulder pad is articulated. You do get a bicep swivel out of the arm, just underneath the shoulder joint. Double hinged elbow, and then the wrists are standard ball hinges with ball pegs. So really good range of motion there. Go away, cat. The torso, not nearly as nice as most modern ones. In fact, it's not that good. It's just a ball peg. You can see right in there. So I don't really care for that too much, but it does give him the range of motion you want him to have. It's actually a double ball peg, sorry. It would be nice if it had something to cover up that gap, but it doesn't. I think technically there's a hinge above that abdomen piece, and maybe you can pull that down a little bit. I'm not sure, but I think there's another ball peg in there. It's just really hard to get it to actually do anything because of the way it's designed. So you can kind of cover up that gap a little bit, but it's not ideal. One of the downsides, like I said, is the articulation on this guy isn't quite as advanced. He does have the ball pegged flaps there on the front and on the sides. Let's get the arms out of the way. So the sides and front all have the flaps. That's nothing new, that's good. The back is not articulated at all. It's all one solid piece. It goes right down into the crotch piece. It's partly because of the interchangeable piece here, and partly because the peg goes right in there, so there's really not much room for it. It's not horrible, but it's not ideal. And he has standard ball peg hips, so he doesn't have any of that extra motion that some of them have. It's effective, it's not ideal again. So standard ball peg with a thigh swivel built around that. He does have double jointed knees, but as you might have been able to notice already, his thighs are super short, and that's one of the major complaints people have for this guy, and I have it as well. His thighs are really short, so it limits the posability because his knee joint is all the way up here, which is kind of a bummer. Again, it's nothing horrible. It's nothing to make me say don't buy the figure. Just don't expect the greatest range of motion out of every joint. The ankles, you can really get in there to see. There's a ball peg at the top of the ankle. Well, hopefully you can see that. Hey, cat. And the cat's climbing me right now. Alright, so there's a ball peg up in the top of the ankle where it connects into the shin. You can, I don't know, yeah, you can see the hinge in there right above these little piston thingies. There's a hinge. And then there's another hinge for the toe. So it's tons of hinging going on in the ankle. This white piece has its own hinge, so really good range of motion for the feet. And it does have side to side, like an ankle rocker in there. It rotates. You're really going to get any posability you want out of it. So despite its few flaws, this guy is a really impressive figure. I think you can get him for a really good price right now at most places, so I would look into that if I was you, because it is really bang for your buck, one of my favorite Gundam figures, and easily one of my favorite designs for Gundam. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. In the meantime, keep collecting.